Okay, I wanted to show you how to graph some linear equations on the Casio free calculator that's on your MyOpenMath site. So to graph anything, we need to go down to the graph menu. So I'll arrow down to the graph menu, hit execute, and now you can see that these are all solved for y. These are like, it has to be in the format y equals. Well, this first one is y equals 2x minus 3. So the y is already there. We just type in the 2x. Right here we have to use this key. If it said graph y equals 2l plus 3, you still have to use the x key, same as when you're solving equations on the calculator. So 2x minus 3. Hit execute and it locks it in there. Then click the draw button right here, or F6 since it's above F6, but you can click that and it draws the graph right there. So that's the graph of that function. Now once you have the graph there, you can do a whole bunch of different things. For example, you can zoom right here, clicking F2. You see above F2 it says zoom. You don't have to hit the shift key to do this. Just hit F2 for zoom, and now you can zoom out or in. So let's zoom out a little bit. Now you pick the location that you want to zoom out on. If you want to zoom out and focus down at the bottom, I would arrow down farther. Or you can just hit execute, and whenever you get it to where you want it to zoom out, just hit execute and it will zoom out. If you have the y-intercept and x-intercept showing up on your graph, like I do now, I can get the x-intercept and y-intercept. So to do that, I can hit gsolve right here. It's above F5. Hit gsolve, and y-intercept is right here. Y-ICPT means y-intercept. And when I hit that, it tells me the coordinate of that y-intercept. It's at 0, -3. And we would know that's the y-intercept anyway, because this is in the form y equals mx plus b, and this is the y-intercept -3, but it shows it right here. This is the y-intercept, 0, -3. If you want to get the x-intercept, you need to know that the x-intercept is also called the root. So if I hit gsolve and I hit root, now I get the x-intercept, which is 1.5, 0. And that is the x-intercept. That's where it hits the x-axis. I could get that by hand here by setting the y equal to 0 and solving it for x. I would add the 3. 3 equals 2x, divide by 2, I get 3/2 or 1.5. But there's the calculator getting you the y-intercept and x-intercept. If you want to zoom in on a spot, you can do zoom and go in and pick the place that you want to zoom in on. Like if you want to zoom in on that y-intercept there, you can hit execute and it will zoom in on it. Let's go ahead and graph another one. Now if you have an equation like this that's not solved for y, you have to solve it for y first. So to solve this for y, I would first have to subtract 2x from both sides. That gives me -3y equals -2x plus 10. Then I'd have to divide both sides by the -3. So the -2 divided by the -3 makes it a positive 2x over 3, and the 10 divided by -3 is a -10/3. So let's go ahead and graph this one to show you how to input the fractions and so on. So I'll hit exit. That brings me back to where I can type in these linear equations that I want to graph. Now you can do one of two things with an old equation. You can either delete it or you can deselect it. If you hit this, the equal sign isn't highlighted and it won't graph that one. And that leaves it in there if you want to use it again sometime. So anyway, let's go ahead and graph this next one. So that would be 2x over, now can I use the fraction key? Yes, I can. So 2x, fraction key 3, then minus 10, fraction key, right there it is, 3. Lock it in and draw it. And now I have this one showing up. And actually the y-intercept doesn't even have to be on the screen to get that. If I do gsolve y-intercept right here, that tells me what the coordinate is of the y-intercept. That's -3.333, which is really -10/3. Right there is the y-intercept. The x-intercept, let's do gsolve root. And there's the x-intercept. That does have to be on the screen for it to get it, but it's at 5, 0. And you can get these over here, like to get the x-intercept, let the y equal 0. Then you just have 2x equals 10, and 2 times 5 is 10. You divide by 2 and you get x equals 5. So that is the x-intercept right there. So that's your x and y intercept. Now how about some unusual ones like y equals -4? Well, let's exit and graph that. I'll go up to this one and either delete it or deselect it. Go down here and just type in -4. So what does the graph of y equals -4 look like? Let's lock it in and draw it. And I don't see it. Well, let's zoom out a little bit. Let's zoom out. Hit execute. And there's the graph right here. Y equals -4 is this graph right here. You can even trace it if you like. Trace. And if I arrow across, you can see that the y is always -4 no matter what the x is. So that's the graph of that equation. So when you have y equals a number, you just get a horizontal line, and this would be a horizontal line at a height of -4. Let's graph the next one, x equals -4. So I'll hit exit. Now, how do you type in x equals -4 when they all start off with y? Well, what you do is you change the type of equation. So hit type, and then hit x equals c, this one right here. And now they're set with x equals. So now type in -4, hit execute, draw it, and you see here's that vertical line right there. So that's the graph we just made, and it's that vertical graph right here. Let me see if I can trace it. Now I'm on this line, the horizontal line. If I arrow up, I can get to a different graph. So now I can only get to it. I don't think I can trace along that line, but there's the line. X equals -4 is a vertical line at x equals at -4 on the x-axis, going up and down right there. So I'll stop that video right there.